And we are live.
Yes.
Hi, guys. Hi, B. Hi, Sage Advice Tarot. Hi, Courtney. Courtney said she would be back as soon as she was doing a ritual today,
Okay.
with the full moon and all that good stuff.
Yes.
Um, so I am here with the beautiful Aimee of Mystic Rose Tarot. Thank you for joining me, sweetheart.
Thank you, Rochelle. Thank you.
It's my pleasure. So why don't you tell me a little bit about your channel, why you named it that?
Okay. I was thinking last night, the Mystic Rose Tarot. I actually had a different name for this YouTube channel. And the name that I have selected at that time kind of pushed me in a specific form of practice that I really felt that I was still learning and embracing. And I didn't want to get pushed into a corner with that name and just associate with that practice. So I kind of moved away from that title. And as I was driving up, going back home to the mountains, the name Mystic Rose just popped up. It just came up, and it didn't leave my mind. And so I looked it up, and the Mystic Rose has a very interesting history. We have the Rosicrucian cross, where it uses the rose and the petals as it expands out, and the different elements and the planets and the placement. And it's like, I like that. That makes sense. And I love roses. I just normally love roses. So it was a name that just seemed to fall right into place. And also there's, in Catholicism, there's something called the mystical rose, which relates to one of the stigmata martyrs from, I guess, like the 1400s. And this woman had visions that she saw. She was sick and she healed herself. And it kind of stems from that history as well. I didn't know about that until I started looking into the name. I just typed up Mystic Rose just in case it wasn't available. And then I started finding all this information. Also Mystic Rose, the pattern geometrically, there's sacred geometry related to that because of the petals opening and, one layer after another. And also beauty, health, and spirituality, which I like to embrace in, all forms of my practice. So
I love that. I love how deep that is. And what a synchronicity, right? I mean, for that to come to you and then you find out all this stuff that just like resonates.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. And it's like, God, I hope this name wasn't taken. MysticRose.com is taken, and also on Facebook, someone has Mystic Rose. So I had to throw in the tarot, and that's where we are. It may change. We'll see where this journey goes. I may change it to something else.
Very cool. Very cool. So can you tell us a little bit about your spiritual path?
Can you be a little bit more specific?
Well, the question here is, labeling the spiritual path.
Yeah.
So if you want to just tell us, because sometimes people don't like to label.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Just like the basics.
Okay.
If you feel comfortable with that.
No, I do. I just want to make sure that I don't go off a tangent. My spiritual practice came probably, here. Okay, let's talk about my spiritual practice, not the tarot. I started a yoga practice about 25 years ago.
Wow.
Because I had a back injury, and it was encouraged by my doctor to start working the lower back muscles, suggested to do yoga. And I wasn't really into it at that time. It's like, okay, well, let's see. I want to feel good. I want to feel strong. And I started taking a yoga class. Okay. And I fell in love with it. Little did I know, as I began my practice and I explored it more, a spiritual shift started happening. Things started coming out from inside outward. And when you're doing any form of spiritual exploration, you're going to find those things, and some of it can be surprising. So I had deal with some personal issues, loss of a family member, stuff that I was going through, and that was the transcendence for me, to really explore spirituality. And I studied Eastern philosophy for a little bit, and my tarot practice started coming back to me. So everything just kind of, one thing led to another. I've explored witchcraft, which I'm still exploring more because it's very complex. I'm trying to find what works best for me. So that's more or less how my spiritual path has developed, and finding different sources, different kinds of information. I'm a little bit like you, a little bit of everything, but I want to try and hone it down to one form of practice that I feel works very strong for me. If I have to take a little bit from this practice, a little bit from there, so be it, but I want to make it my own. And so the journey will be life ending, life fulfilling. So
Right on.
Is that right?
Yeah. Yes, it does answer it. Yeah. It's just an organic path,
Yeah.
right? Wherever it leads you. And, it's a winding road, right?
Yeah. There's some people, they explore Christianity. Next thing you know, they're wicked. They do a complete shift.
Right. Yeah. So were you raised in this path, or?
Yeah. I was raised in a strong religious family, but they kind of left things open for me. And I left home early. So when I left home early to go to college, that's when everything just started opening, because I felt now I can start exploring things and not feel the watchful eyes of my parents, being in their home and having to hide some things and stuff. I think they knew, but they really didn't, say, oh, you're going to go to hell or anything like that, But I know them. They gave me space, and I'm very grateful for that. But once I left home, that's when I was able to just, like I mentioned about my spiritual path, explore so much more, and it opened up so much.
Wonderful. I keep referring back to my questions. You would think by now, because I've almost got like 50 of these interviews under my belt, you would think that I know them, but I really don't.
You have a lot of questions too.
Yeah. Yes. So do you feel a stronger connection to any of the elements, to a certain element?
Oh, wow. I love them all, because we're all made up of all those 4 elements. And we were talking about astrology beforehand. And so I think when you look at the elements of the signs that we have more of, we tend to gravitate more towards that. So I have earth sign and 2 fire signs in my immediate chart. And I went online, one of the astro charts or astrological websites, and they did my chart, and they did a balance of where my elements are. And so I'll say one thing: the one element that I'm really lacking is water. I need a little bit more water in me, and also air. I have some air, but not a lot. Everything else tends to be a little bit more on the fire side and earth side. And so I was talking to Lavender Moon about this, trying to create these balance. If you have a lot of air in your chart, you're going to be imbalanced in one area, but balanced in the other. What other elements can you bring in? What are those influences that you could bring in to create those balances? Sometimes you feel that need that you need to go by water. You have to go by the sea. And I did that a few years ago. I had such a drive that I needed to be by water. I didn't know what it was. So I moved to Miami. I was there for 8 months, and it felt good. I needed healing. I needed to be in that calming environment, if you will. I needed to be by the water. I needed to be by the beach. and and I felt great. But now I'm up in the mountains, so now I'm focusing, I guess, on the elements of earth and stability and grounding and strength, and it feels good here. It feels good, nature-wise and whatnot. It feels very nice to be here.
Very nice. Water is my least as well. I think I'm the highest is earth, then fire, then air, then water. But my highest is like 31% and my lowest is like 19%. So I am actually very balanced between the four.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So do you have a favorite season of the year then?
I do like winter if it just wasn't with all the snow. Energy-wise, because being an earth sign, winter is the season for earth signs for the most part, especially Capricorn. But I think it's just that stability. I need to be in an environment where it's just very, very strong and solid. So earth for the most part. I do like water because it is very soothing when I'm around it, whether it's the actual element of water or the energy. I like fire, but fire spiritual-wise for purity, for releasing, for just like letting go, but also for celebrating and for enticing energy within that you could be lacking. But I need it in small dosages because I do have quite a bit of fire. Air, I like. I don't have a lot of, but my Mercury's in Gemini, so there's some attributes that I bring in to kind of intensify for clearer thought, to stay focused, surrounding myself with the color of yellow, which is for the intellect and the mind. So all those different aspects.
Very nice. So do you use divination? If so, what types of divination do you use?
It's just the tarot cards.
Just the tarot.
Just the tarot.
And what about astrology?
I was going to say astrology as well. But astrology, I feel, is good. I mentioned this in the discussion. I feel astrology is good for predictive. Okay, this may disrupt some people with what I'm going to say, but I feel astrology is a better tool to use for predictive work. There are people who do the tarot and they use it for predictive readings, but I think because of the science aspect of astrology and the exactness of trying to place when something did happen or when something's going to happen, I feel it's a little bit more accurate with the astrology. Tarot, you can sort of get a broad time frame, I feel personally. But in that sense, I would say more the astrology for divination and for that kind of practice, that kind of spiritual work.
I could definitely see that because the more and more I learn, and I'm very new to the astrology. I mean, I consider myself new because there's so much to learn with astrology, but I feel like it is like the blueprint. It is like looking at the blueprint that you created before you came into existence.
Yeah.
Whereas tarot, I see it more as like a day-to-day thing, like your, the everyday stuff, the mundane stuff. Whereas the astrology, like the big picture kind of stuff. It's the big missions kind of stuff. And, you're going to be married to this person for this amount of time and they're in your 10th house. And you see your children in your astrology and parents. And yeah,
when you look at your chart, it's kind of fascinating, especially if you compare it Western and Vedic. There's Vedic, again, as we were talking, goes a little bit more precise. And Western, what did I see in the website? It was saying that Western is probably best just for almost like the superficial.
psychology.
Well, almost like,
What?
well, was it was described like Western astrology is more like for the material aspects, more how things are going to work for you in life. And Vedic deals more with the spiritual side because it works off that rising side. And so it made sense to me, but Vedic seems to be more of the spiritual aspect of someone's chart. So you take the Western astrology, which says, Leos are known to have nice hair. There's all the body associations with the signs. And that's what I'm saying. Are you going to be good in a certain career? Are you going to be good in this particular kind of relationship with this person? So on and so forth. But the Vedic goes inside. It's how you see what's going on inside and how all that develops on the out. So I think people should do both. I think they should do both charts.
I think so too. I think together they're like a really good combination.
Yes.
And see, I look at the Western where it's more like good psychology because there is so much information on the Western front as far as characteristics and, how this, at least what I have researched so far. Whereas Vedic is very like actual and people have said can be very fatalistic because it is really accurate.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of psychology that you can learn from the Western side of it.
Okay.
So I see it like that. But
yeah.
I'm still new.
Yeah. When you explore it so much more, it's just, wow. And sometimes people just leave their other forms of divinatory practice. They're like, I like astrology. This works for me. It gives me all the insight that I need. So it's pretty.
I just love digging deeper. I mean,
yeah. You have to do it.
So what did you say your sun sign is?
Taurus.
And
everyone.
And your rising and your moon, if you don't mind.
I want to give it all away.
Oh, okay.
We'll just do the sun for Taurus.
All right. You know what your tarot birth cards are?
Yes, because I've been working on that for this year. My birth card is the Hierophant.
Okay.
Which we are in for this year. And my 2021 birthday, if you will, card, from 2020 to 2021, it was the Tower, which I interpreted in a different sense, not destruction. Obviously, things were breaking down for a lot of people, but I took that more into my practice. I took the Tower more of a breakdown of what was going on with my practice, what I really don't need in my practice, and what I really want to bring in. And now for 2021 into 2022, in a few months, I'm a star. And the star card was popping up a few times in recent readings that I have been doing for myself. And I didn't even calculate my year. And so it's like, wow. And I like the relationship of the Hierophant and the star this year. It feels right. It feels good. Universal.
It's probably like a higher level of ascension kind of thing.
It is.
If you're going from the Tower, the star is the natural, it leaves off there.
Yeah. And then I have the Hierophant as the guide. It's all involving with, traditional and modern ways of thinking. And one thing that I like is I wrote about this on Instagram, that I feel a lot of people don't like the Hierophant for some reason. I think it's just because
the Pope.
Yeah. But I don't even see that. I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it from a spiritual perspective. So this is someone who has experience and they want to share it with people. They have a message, if you will. And for me, I see the Hierophant as a mediator. It's a mediator between his or her way of seeing things and trying to share that information with what's going on now, but also learning at the same time from those that they are teaching to, so teacher-student relationship is always, you always learn from each other. We'll be forever teachers, we'll be forever students. And we just, we share what our knowledge the best that we can. And those who want to listen will listen. And those who don't want to listen, then, they find their own path.
That's exactly how I see the Hierophant as well. It's about teachable moments and teacher students.
Yeah.
We are always one of those things.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I love the Hierophant.
Yeah, it's in each of us. You just got to find it. You got to gain your experience of being outside and learning and applying what you've learned to, to other people. But they have to listen. They have to listen.
So I take it you are a life path 5 then?
I'm an 8, if I calculated it correctly.
Oh.
Do you want to double check that for me? Oh, I can't because we're live.
You don't want to give me your birthday for everybody.
I think I'm an 8.
Then you would be Strength would be your birth card. Not the Hierophant. The Hierophant's 5. Well, I guess that all depends on how you are calculating what way you calculate your birth card. But I am a life path 8, and mine is Strength and the Star. Those are my 2 cards.
Huh.
Sage Advice Tarot, she's also a Strength and a Star. I'm guessing you are an 8, sweetheart? A life path 8? and we have a delay too. So, but yeah, and I wish I had it down here with me, but I don't. I have like a little chart of all of the what they mean and all.
Yeah.
But pardon me?
Sage
yours. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. I will recalculate that. But for some reason I came up with the Hierophant. So I'm embarrassed if that is the wrong number, but
well, there are different ways of calculating it. So maybe the way that you calculate it is different. Now, I will tell you, I had just been on Ben and Bellwine's blog or what have you, and she did one on life path stuff. And this is something that I didn't know, but if you actually break down your month to a single digit, that is like you have like 3 life paths. That's your first one. Your second one would be your day. You break that down. And your third one would be your year. And then, of course, all culminated would be like your life path. And each one of those dictated something different. And I'm a 1, 7, 9. But my full life path is an 8. So I was like, ooh, I get to dig deeper. Different phases in life or something. It's really cool.
Well, I'm going to look at that after we're done.
So do you have let me make sure I'm asking the right questions. Do you have a favorite current deck that you're using?
I was working on it until I started going back to the Tarot of the Holy Light to start studying. I think the 2 decks, I'm going to bring them out here. They're recent. Is The Witch's Wisdom by Phyllis Carrot. There we go. This is a beautiful deck because it encompasses nature, Mother Earth energy. It's just very straightforward. It works so well for me. And I've already done a few nightly readings with this. And I keep getting the Wisdom Keeper and the Star. This is the deck that pulled these cards for me. It's like, okay.
I don't think I've seen that deck before.
You haven't?
I don't think so. I mean, I've seen the box, but I don't think I've seen the cards.
I think you like
the Wisdom Keeper.
Yeah, the Wisdom Keeper shows a wise one who's sitting on the ground. The person's familiar is right at their feet, and I'm looking at spirit over here. And the
Oh,
environment's outside, and there's like a tent behind the person. And it's just someone who's just like stripped everything and just down to their essentials in this image itself. And it's such a beautiful energy and something that I could just relate to. You know, just
nice.
environment, nothing modern, nothing, you know, nothing traditional. It's just being there at the moment.
Nice.
And the star card shows a woman who is in water that is bathed by moonlight, and the person's head's down, and it's just taking a moment to relax and connect. Um, it's a beautiful card, just the energy. So there's that one, the Witch's Wisdom, and then the Witch's Oracle by Sally Morningstar. This is actually a second release, and it's just that it's an oracle deck, but it works with the tools that are used in the Wiccan practice. They have the cauldron, they have the athame, they have the moon, they have the familiar. There's about, I think, 38 or 40 cards in this oracle deck, and it's just wonderful. I'll just pull one up.
Oh, that is beautiful.
Yeah, sorry for the reflection. It's just very simple. So I use this as a an extension for the wisdom, Witch's Wisdom deck. The energy works so wonderful.
Very nice.
So those two, I would say, are my favorite in the sense because it goes a little bit deeper spiritually for me, and it's always calling out to me. So I appreciate it. I appreciate
Wonderful.
it.
Just really quick, Spirited Dragonfly, you asked how do you figure out your birth cards? So I just put a link in there that goes to my website. I have a page on how to figure it out, breaking it down. And if you want, there's also a link down at the bottom of that page. It'll send you right to a calculator if you want to just figure it out that way. Okay. Let's see. So are those the current decks that you, or do you have a current favorite tarot card in the deck?
From one of those decks or any deck?
Any deck.
Any
Like a certain card that just like calls to you right now.
I'll probably say the cards that I have mentioned earlier, the Hierophant and the Star. Okay. Sorry, I'm sorry, hold on one second. Did you hear
Okay.
that?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, hold on one sec.
Hi, Julianne. And thank you, Sage Advice, for becoming a member. That's very cool.
Okay.
Everything okay?
Yeah, there's just there's a buildup of snow from the previous storm, and it's falling. Some of it falls in chunks, and I just want to make sure. Yeah, it's so if you hear any noise, it's not demons or anything up on it. It's actually snow falling from the trees and from the house because it's warmer and it's melting. But sometimes it's really loud and it's a bit jarring. I'm staying inside. It's all good.
So you just kind of also showed, those are the decks that you're mainly working with right now also?
Yeah, if I'm not practicing with like the Tarot of the Holy Light or one of my other decks that I'm studying, those two decks are the decks that I really want to spend more time with. Also, I have the Mythical Creatures Tarot. I don't have a lot of tarot decks. I keep it very simple, and I'm not a collector. Those decks that I have here, a majority of them are the ones that I work with. There's some decks that were gifted to me that I've done some reviews, and I've kept them because they have a uniqueness to it. But the decks that are here on my table, I know you can't see what I have here. I have like probably 8 to 10 that connect with me, and I work with them, and they all have a different purpose: for animal energy work, for dream work, for chakra healing, for the esoteric. I want to go into that realm. So there's a little bit of everything here, which I like.
Mm.
Oh,
Well,
it's
thank
right
you.
there, Julianne.
Hi, Kavita. Let's see. So, do you remember your dreams? Do you do dream work?
Oh, yes, I do. I don't remember all the dreams. I do wake up and I know I had a dream, and sometimes it doesn't come to me immediately. Usually later on in the day, something triggers something and I get a flash of part of the dream that I had. Sometimes it's a few days. It's like, oh, yeah, I remember I dreamed about this, but that was a few days ago. And then there's some dreams that are just very intense, and I remember them every detail. And
Do you write them down? Do you keep like a journal of your dreams?
I started a journal, but because, as I mentioned to you, I can't remember all my dreams immediately. By the time I take reference to them, I only remember bits and pieces. I don't, unless it's something really profound, and I wake up and I'm either elated by it or just a little miffed, I will write down key things about how I was feeling about, the dream, what was going on, the environment. I did a series on my channel where I talk about the elemental influence of our dreams. So, for instance, when you're having a dream, does it feel more on an earthy realm? Does it feel more of a fiery water? I work with those elements to see exactly the premise, elementally wise, is working with those dreams. Is it a little bit more emotional? Is it a little bit more anger? Is there a lot of chat? Is there a lot of communication going on? So I look at that, and that takes a different perspective when I look at my dreams. So I break it down in that sense, feeling and visually. But as I mentioned, sometimes I can't remember all of it, just bits and pieces.
I had a dream like earlier in the week, and it was that dream that actually triggered remembering another dream.
Yep.
Does that happen? Do you find that happens to you as well?
Not often, but it does. There's similarities. And that's another thing to look at, is if you have a dream and it's very similar to something else, there's obviously a pattern going on. And what you have to try and figure out, or not figure out, is write down the difference between those two dreams. Was the same scene going on, but was it in a different environment? You look at all these different influences that are in the dream, the signs that you get. There's one dream here. Here's a good example. There's one dream I had 8 years ago, and I didn't redream it again, but I remembered it. I had just moved back to California from Miami, and I had this dream where I was in a desert, expansive desert, and there's a large mountain formation in the distance. I don't know where I am. It's just flat, but there's this mountain formation. And I kept saying, where am I? Where am I? And then something like out of the Yellow Submarine, the hand, like from the Beatles, the little hand that would fly in and out, arrives from nowhere, and it's floating. It's like this, and it has a note card on it. And I look at it, and I pull the card out, I flip it over, and it says Queensland, Australia.
Oh, wow.
I wasn't thinking of anything about Australia. Nothing. I couldn't figure out why, why did that mess up?
Coming out reminds me of doing too much tarot, because you got like on the aces. Like handing you something.
But it was
Maybe
just,
some sort of communication that you got from Queensland, a letter or something.
yeah, but nothing. I had no connection to Australia. Nothing that I remember seeing on the news or anything. Because usually when you dream, something triggers from something that you saw from that day or the previous day,
Right.
or the mood that you got from a conversation. Nothing. And so to this very day, I'm still trying to figure out what's, I love Australia. I've never been. I hope I'll be able to go soon. So I don't know, but it just came back into my head. So it's weird.
I think sometimes the dreams that we have are prophetic. So I don't think that they just have to be, yes, I do think a large part is based on the things that we've come into contact with.
Yeah.
But I mean, it could be something else too.
Yeah.
You know? I think a lot of people get downloads in their dreams.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've had an OBE, and that was very, very bizarre. Only once I've had it. And
were you a tarot reader at that time?
I was starting to practice.
Oh.
I had a death in the family, so I was reading that usually when there's a passing, especially how close you are to that person. Your psychic energy, spiritual energy just amplifies through the roof. And so people tend to have OBEs, they tend to have prophetic dreams. It was a rough time for a short while because I was getting all these different experiences, and they were very off the wall for me and something that I wasn't really prepared with, but they stopped. And I think that stopped once I learned to let go of the loss.
Yeah.
Of the family member passing. And once you start healing, those dreams that I had, anything psychic wise stopped. So I know everyone's different, but it was very hard because you're trying to deal with the loss of someone very dear to you, and you're getting all this other peripheral stuff going on, and you're trying to make sense as to what was going on. It was very overwhelming, but I think at the same time it strengthens you as well.
Yeah, definitely. Do you have a favorite holiday or Sabbath?
Yule and Samhain.
So like the fall coming into the winter.
Yes. Winter, fall and winter, the way I feel about those two particular seasons, fall is the time of when you start slowing down. You start preparing for winter. Winter energy for me, from solstice into spring, is a time of where we start preparing. It's not, for me, it's not a time of introspective work. I feel you do that between Mabon and Samhain. That's just me. I feel those are the times that you're really more introspective. Samhain, we're getting ready for the new year for a lot of people who practice, and it's the beginning. So I use this winter energy to start preparing for, well, we have Imbolc next week. We start preparing for spring. We start planning. We start moving our energy to things that we want to start growing, I guess you could say, in the springtime. Summer is a very difficult month for me because of it's almost like a lull for me. I know for people, summer is a time of activity and stuff, but spiritually, summer isn't as strong for me for my practice. It's only when we get towards like the later part of August, like past Lammas, and then once we get to Mabon, I start feeling it. And it could be just, the weather, the temperature. It's just a bit too much to me. Here, this time of the year is good. I feel at my strongest.
You probably get major sun where you're at too, don't you? In the summertime?
Yeah, this past summer, because we also have fires down the hill. Yeah, it was like 14 miles away was the nearest fire. But we had heat up here that I'm 56, 5800 elevation. We got to 97 degrees, which I couldn't even fathom
Oh,
in the mountains. It was
that's
extreme.
like stifling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you go down the hill and it's like 110, 115, because there's a 15, 20 degree difference. So I couldn't cool off no matter what.
Wowza.
Yeah. It was, this particular summer was really hot. So.
My goodness. So do you have a special skill or hobby that you would like to tell us about?
Um, I used to be a photographer.
Oh.
And I used to do production work when I was living in Los Angeles. So I did
Uh-huh.
that for about 15 to 20 years. And during that time, I left LA and I went to Miami. I moved a few times, came back. And I found that I was really done with Los Angeles and I moved up here to the mountains. And I still did photography, but something else was calling me. And I decided to take a hiatus right now because I still love taking pictures. But I want to focus on this right now. There's a reason why I'm on this personal journey with my practice, astrology, learning more about astrology and the tarot. I want to work with what's being placed in front of me. And then maybe from there, I may return to, being a visual artist. I still consider myself a visual artist. I still do some stuff personally, but things are different. I'm going to probably focus more on video if I get back to that juncture again, which I hope I will.
Hi, sweetie.
Hi.
All right. Let's see here. So here's a fun question. Do you prefer coffee or tea?
Tea.
Okay. And is there a special kind of tea you normally drink, or?
I like ginger, cinnamon, and turmeric,
Oh.
especially for the colder months here. It's very warming, very heating. Those are. I'm not a coffee drinker at all. I'm not a heavy tea person, but the tea that I work with, I like to invigorate me and keep me warm during this time of the year. Summer, I don't drink any tea. I just do a lot of this. So much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Life force right here.
Right on. Yes, it is. Is there a time period other than now that you feel drawn to?
I was thinking about this question. It's like I could go many different routes with this. When you gave me the list of questions and I saw that one, the first thing that came into mind, because I was just reading a little bit about this, I wanted to go back, almost be more like the fly on the wall. The witch trials. I really wanted to just like kind of be that fly on the wall and just see exactly what was going on. We read about it, there's been films made about it, but just to really, understand the thinking that was going on there, because it was a witch hunt, literally. Anything that was not of the norm at that time, you would be considered, susceptible of, witchcraft. Even
It was
down
a lot more than that, too. I mean, it was also people wanting to take other people's land, so they would accuse.
Yeah, a good excuse. Yeah. In a sense, it's almost going back to where we are right now in some situations, because they are using the term to describe certain social actions going on as a witch hunt of sorts. So yeah, just to kind of see what was going on at that time.
Yeah, not to actually be in the time, but to see it.
Yes.
Yeah. So, if you could have a deep conversation with anyone during any time in history, who would it be and why?
how many of these spotlights have you done? And people are just like, oh, there's so many.
Well, usually people, yeah, that's the thing. Narrowing it down to one person, right? 'Cause you probably have a long list. I know I do.
Wow. Michelle, I can't think of one particular person. Honestly, I really can't.
What about Buddha? The first Buddha.
I did think about that, but
Mhm.
I'm the kind of person that I like to try and understand people's minds. Like why did you think the way that you know, I, like Crowley, all these evil people, Gandhi, not evil, but the extremes of these personalities. I really would like to just like sit.
Or were they misunderstood, or the stories were not
Yeah,
recorded correctly? You know.
because we go by other people's experiences that they've had with past dictators or rulers or whatnot. But I
Yeah.
would just like to be in a room and just sit with some of these interesting folks, in spite of how evil their actions were, or they are considered evil by other people because of their beliefs. I just like to see from my perspective and just
I
ask
know.
questions and see.
My list would probably be like, oh, I don't know, like 100 pages long.
Yeah, it's because I like to know how other people think, what causes that rationale to do such actions and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's definitely like one of my kinks. But that's also like Virgo, right? I analyze.
Yeah, but there's nothing wrong with that. We're learning at the same
Right.
process, right?
Yeah. So, if you could go back to any event in history, what would it be and why?
Oh, maybe I got the question backwards. Maybe it was during the witch trials. Yeah, I think that's probably what I meant to
Okay.
answer.
So usually when I ask the question about a period that people are attracted to, a lot of times you'll hear like, I've really been attracted to like Victorian, the way that the cars were, the homes, the way that they dressed, the society during that period of time. Some people will say like Egypt or like stuff like that. Do you have something specific like that?
Egypt's a good one. Egypt's is a good place because there is so much mystery that's held in that environment. I guess why it's a little bit difficult to answer that is I don't like to think so much in the past, like living in the past. I think if that question was asked to me maybe 30 years ago, I probably would have an answer right off the bat. But I think I'm content where I am right now. But
See, I think a lot of that is like triggers from like past lives and stuff
true.
like that. Like in your dreams, do you have like certain themes in your dreams that are from different time periods that can be a very telling thing? That's why I asked that question.
Okay.
It could have been, because I have had tons of dreams about Egypt and things that have happened. So I feel like one or many of my lifetimes have been in Egypt.
Yeah.
So.
I'm new to past life readings and all that, and I think I made a comment to you about the deck that's coming out, the Cosmovisions,
Yes.
which is, from what I understand, supposed to be related to past life readings. I'm not certain, but the reason why I got that deck is to learn, to understand. I don't feel so much of a connection to past lives, but I do feel that I did come from another place. I just don't know where.
Right.
I feel like I was reincarnated into this from something else. I just don't know what it is yet. I don't know if we'll find out. So.
Oh, let's see. So you have a website, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And I don't Don't have it up, but I can pull it up really quick.
When you type it in, it's I do Mystic Rose Tarot for YouTube, and then the website will be themysticrosetarot.com.
I'm going to, I think I have it. Yes, it is in the description, but let me copy and paste it so that everyone that's like on their phones or what have you can easily access it.
I like what Courtney said. The crazier, the more eccentric someone is, the more you want to learn about those people. You know, like she was writing about Crawley.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. That's why I say I like to actually, I mean, how many things do people assume about other people? Or how many things have been written in a certain way in order to project a certain agenda throughout history?
Yeah.
You know, I want to know the truth. Ultimately, I just want to know the truth.
Yeah.
So, and that usually comes from the horse's mouth itself. So, and I'm also copying your Instagram, so anybody can go and check out your Instagram as
Thank
well.
you.
You're welcome.
I'm building it up. I have a small following. I've had the Instagram account for like a few years, but it hasn't been to like the last year or so that I've been really pushing it. It's a lot of work to do social media. It is. It is. My heart goes to everyone. Everyone has the tens of thousands and even the thousands. I know that's a lot of work. It is so much work. And
I would not know. And I don't know as if I ever want to know that. That would be stressful, I think, seriously.
Yeah. It's a bit much because you want to focus primarily on your practice. You know, that's what I want to do. But, you know, then it's like, okay, I have to share, you know, some insight that I had. Let's go ahead and do this. You know, I could be working on something else. I could be levitating, you know, do my levitating. You know, now I have to take time off for that. You know.
I'd like to see you take a picture, or have somebody take a picture of you levitating. You know, I can see you. Oh.
Let's do it. Let's do it for Samhain 2021. I will levitate.
Yeah, I want to see that.
Oh my
God. So how long have you been on YouTube? You said you changed your name?
I changed the name for the Instagram account.
Oh.
And then I made it to Mystic Rose Tarot. Mystic Rose Tarot for YouTube has been on since 2019. But I let it stop for a while, like the later part of 2019. And then with the pandemic and whatnot, I mean, I saw an explosion of everyone on YouTube during most of last year, which is great because I got to meet you. I got to meet Joanne Victoria. I got to meet Courtney. I got to meet all these different people and see their content and see what they had to share.
Yeah.
So last year was a really great time. Hi, Lavender Moon.
Hi, sweetie. So, what is the direction that you envision for your channel going forward?
Oh, excuse me. I would like to primarily focus the content, very similar to what you were saying, share my experiences as I'm learning. I've already done a few series talking about the astrological decans and breaking it down by the suits. They're my channel, but boy, one of them went to like almost 2.5 hours because I go really detailed. And I know I should cut that down, but it's really hard to do a 30-minute video when there's so much information that I'm feeling from the cards and their meaning. So I want to make it clear to people. So I break it down. I take my time. I show the cards. And I want my site to be a source of where I can focus more on what I'm learning. You know, Tarot of the Holy Light. At some point, I'll do a walkthrough of that deck. But for now, it's Julianne and me working on it together. she has the astrological perspective of it, which is great. And for me, she helps me learn that aspect of the deck because it's very intense. But I take more of the spiritual side of it as to how I would apply it in doing a tarot reading. So you can read with the Tarot of the Holy Light. You just kind of have to pull yourself from all the detail that's in it, and that scares people from this deck. It's like it's a lot, but just really focus on the energy of what you're feeling from that deck. So anyhow, that's the premise of what I'd like to do with my channel. Have some guests that I feel are relevant, that can share information about certain skills that they have. I won't do too much tarot deck reviews because I'm done. I have what I like right now. If there's a deck that falls in my lap that I really enjoy, I'll share it. But I want it to be a deck that I would like to see people learn from as well.
Right.
Instead of just another tarot deck.
Right. That's me going forward. I do have a lot of decks. Granted, I've got rid of quite a few decks in 2020 and early on in 2021. But for me, everything that I get now, I've got to be able to utilize it. It's not just about pretty pictures for me anymore. If I'm not utilizing it, I don't want it, which means if I'm not learning something from it. Because I look at tarot cards just like they're a book, except for I can use them as like flashcards for learning.
Yeah.
Which is easier for me.
Yeah.
So.
No, I agree. It's time to, slim down the collection if you can and just work with the decks that you have. It's overwhelming. If you have too many decks.
Amber says, I have a lot of decks. I think many of us in here have a lot of decks.
I know. They were just good, but if you're utilizing them, like you're saying, if you're putting them to work, go for it. You learn more that way,
Yes.
What you have to really
learn. So the last question is, what do you wish to? I know what your vision is, or what you envision. Granted, that can always change, but what you envision right now going forward. But what do you expect to gain from your channel? What is it that you wish to gain from your channel?
That I wish to gain?
Yeah, gain from your channel, having a channel.
I think it's going back to what I was saying earlier about teacher-student. I'd like to learn from other people who come in and, we take part in conversations. And I know there's the chats that are going on, but if we're working on a specific or talking about a specific subject, I want to hear feedback. I want to learn from other people, and that I think that's a premise. I wanted to go both ways. I'm not into numbers or anything like that. I probably won't grow as fast as some other channels, but this is where I am right now. So I just, the gaining part of the YouTube is just exchanging information with people and meeting people who think similar, and we can learn from each other. That's honestly how I feel, for YouTube. If it grows into a certain direction, so be it. If it doesn't, it is what it is.
I will say that the majority of people that I have had on here, that's usually what they always answer.
Really?
And that's the same for me. Yeah. It's about meeting people, connecting with other people, learning and growing. And And for me, I know it's definitely about that. If I don't grow, I don't grow. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
The amount of people that I have met that are in my life every single day because of what I met, and the amount of people that impact my life because of what I have learned. And I get people that tell me the same thing that they have gotten from me. That's just like gravy, know? That's just wonderful.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be anything big or anything. It's just meeting everyone and just maintaining that relationship, making it healthy and, sharing insights of, I studied this deck and this is what I've learned. And now I'm working on this, like with you and the astrology, which I think is great. I think it's a wonderful realm to build the tarot and the astrology together, go for it, you know. And you learn so much more. And that's what I'm all about. I want to expand more.
Exactly. That's my word this year, is expansion. Even though it's a death year for me.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
It's an emperor year, but transformation, expansion. Yeah.
It's going to happen. I think you know it. I can see it in you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty confident.
Yeah.
And my beliefs, even if they're wrong, I'm still confident in them.
Yeah. I mean, if it doesn't go the way that it does, don't build any expectations. That's the whole thing. You know, just go on your journey. There's something to be said if someone has goals, if you set something or like resolutions. I kind of don't like that. If you have a direction, just stick to it. You'll get to wherever you need to be when the time's right. You know, don't say February 22nd, 2022. That puts too much pressure and things are going to happen in life. Just go with it, you know.
That's how I am. I don't like being told what to do, even by myself. So I'm not good at like resolutions and stuff like that, because there's like a part of me that says, no, I'm just not. I don't like putting myself in a box.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like it more organic. And if I pick up this today, then I pick it up. If I don't, then oh well.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No
Don't
regrets.
push yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. And whenever you're any kind of spiritual practice, there should never be pressure, because the whole experience is taking time to grow and to learn, and you can't put a time frame on something like that. You know,
Exactly.
It's taken me 30 years to start realizing, okay, I think this is where I'm going to be moving towards. You know, you explore so many different things, and now here am I 30 years later, working with the tarot, you know, learning astrology, applying those two principles, and sharing my experience to help people, to guide people. Imagine telling that to your parents.
Yeah. Exactly.
Not gonna happen.
I do like specific goals for other things, but not spirituality. Yeah, I like little goals and small goals, don't get me wrong, but they're there in order to keep me more on track rather than something that if I don't do, then I'm beating myself up over it. You know what I mean? It's just, oh, it wasn't meant to be. So we'll maybe put it at the top of our list tomorrow. And if we get it done, then fine. If we don't, it is what it is. Maybe it wasn't supposed to be. Who knows, something like that. But
there's that side of me, and I think it has to deal with me doing production work, where we were always used to having that structure, that deadline. You have to do it. If you're not, you're going to have to move faster. There's still that little part that kind of tugs at me. It's like, oh, maybe I should have done it on that day. And it's like, it's already passed. That was yesterday. So now it's time to, you know, do it next week. You know, I try not to put things off. I don't like doing that. As a Taurus, you know, I just want to get it done.
Procrastination drives me crazy.
Oh. Yeah. Well, I can't move like that. So it's like, let me just do it. And then you do it and you're like, wow.
You feel better.
Yeah.
I'm the same way. My fiance is disciplined if I had it my way. Oh, my fiance is disciplined if I had it my way. LOL. Yeah.
But you, Rochelle, you're very strong. You're very focused. So I would assume that when it comes to putting a goal, no matter big or small, that you still stick to it.
I do. I'm a Capricorn. We are mountain goats. But I have learned, because I would beat myself up. Nobody could beat me like I can beat myself up. But I have learned, that's one of my things through life so far, that I'm not going to hold myself to that anymore. I hold myself accountable for my actions and my choices.
Yes.
But, you know, I just believe that If you're always setting goals or you want to do this, you're always like thinking in the future. You're not thinking about what's happening right now in your life, and you're not appreciating what's in your life right now. And I very much am grateful for everything every day, so that is my perspective. And if I have something that I want to achieve in the future, I'll get it eventually because I am focused on it, but not to a point where it's detrimental to me. That if I don't, I'm destroyed.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. That's wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah, just being very strong. And, some people it's hard to get that moving. But if you apply yourself, focus, and believe in yourself,
right on.
You can do it. You can do it. Don't second guess. As soon as that second guess comes in, or you start doubting whatever, that's gonna hold you back. It's gonna hold you back.
Right on.
Yeah.
Fear. Here's a big one.
Yeah.
And thank you, Courtney. Yes, my daughter. Purple, guys. Just trying it out. It's just like a conditioner, and after like a few shampoos, it'll be out. But
I think
she did a nice hers.
And
it did cover up a lot of my grays. Look at that.
It's beautiful.
But you know what's really funny?
What?
When my hair was wet, you could see my scalp, and my scalp is literally purple. My whole scalp. I don't know if you can see it. It's like, look at that.
Yeah. You can't see your scalp at all. It's just all hair. It's all.
I know. I am.
Oh my God.
Well, this is normally the spot where I open it up if anybody else has any questions. Are you okay with that?
Oh, of course.
Okay. So if anybody has any questions for Aimee, please shoot now.
If not, it's okay. How's everyone doing? Is everyone feeling good today?
Shadow Sun said she just subscribed to your channel.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
And earlier you were saying that sometimes like one of them was like 2.5 hours long. I definitely don't see any problems with that. People will watch whatever they have time for.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of people that are looking to learn more about astrology this year. So she has a good channel for learning that kind of stuff. And she talks, like you said, in detail.
I also make reference to other people because of their knowledge, like Julianne Victoria,
Yes.
People that I feel and I know that they are well versed and they can explain situations and their knowledge of what they're working in very clearly. So I name drop, but it's with good reason, because these are the people that I learned from, and I think it's really important.
Me too. Julianne has definitely inspired me.
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. We can have these conversations. When I do the long videos, though, not to scare people off, I do timestamp them. So I put a timestamp, so this is this suit that I'm talking about, or this is the sign or the planet or whatever, if it gets to that length of time. But I remember in 2 days I did like 2.5 hour videos, and I was just like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
It is exhausting. It is draining. Spirit's
how's Spirit?
Spirit's doing good. He's clawing. Where is he? Oh, he was clawing away at the closet a moment ago.
Amber says, yes, I am. Hang on, let me do this.
You get pop it.
Yes, I'm starting my astrology journey. That's my year's focus. So I am starting, and I want to learn from Julie and Victoria and you as well. Yes.
Should we do like maybe in the future, all of us, since we're exploring astrology and tarot, should we all do like a nice 4-person discussion based on what we're learning?
Yeah, I mean,
How
for
would
me,
you
I
that?
told Julianne, I'm just like intimidated because she just knows so much. I would be sitting there going, uh-huh, uh-huh. I'm like, what can I add to it? Because she knows it all already. So
No, you'll be able to add to it because she'll be explaining information, and then you'll have questions. I think it'd be nice just to bounce
yeah,
off of each other.
yeah.
I've been on Julianne's channel and I've asked questions, and I think
Mhm.
maybe sometimes I catch her off guard with my questions, but she answers it. She answers it and she makes it work. But I think that would be fun.
Yes.
As we grow more in our journey. No pressure, Michelle.
It is endless. Yes. But you know what? That's what I love about it because I love to learn. So the fact that it is a subject that there are just so many different levels in order to learn, it keeps you forever
Yeah,
like a child exploring,
yeah,
That's what I love about it.
yeah.
Me too. There's still a couple of decks that I want to get. Yeah.
Do you have a deck, Rochelle, that's well, you did mention the Black Moon cards. Black Moon
Yes.
Oracle.
Yeah. And I do have Julie Victoria's Vedic
Yeah.
astrology cards too, which I love. And I learned tons with this deck and her book. I mean, that's what kind of drove me into wanting to really learn astrology more because I feel like Vedic is definitely more accurate. But I love the Black Moon astrology cards too.
Yeah,
I
those are
know it's hard to see because of the glare,
yeah.
but yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
A couple of books on astrology.
Yeah, I think once you find those decks to work with that incorporates those two sources, that's just great. You have a starting block and you could build from there. And then you start doing readings and you start doing your own interpretations with astrology and the tarot. And that's what I like. Again, it takes it deeper.
Julianne says, I am just trying to find the time to do some maybe like astrology tutorials on my channel or group discussion to learn. Yeah, tonight is my very first one for my membership. I'm teaching astrology for beginners by beginners. Yep.
That's the best way to learn.
And you know me, I love worksheets, so I've already got my first worksheet.
I like
I
when
mean,
to me, it's like, yes.
yeah. So, yeah. So, did anybody have any other questions for Aimee before we close this out?
Go for Rochelle.
Didn't know Julianne had astrology card. Do you have a link, Julianne? Oh my gosh. The Vedic cards are fantastic. And her book.
And it's simple. It's very simple. The deck. It's good for anyone to learn.
Let me just show you guys really quick. I think I keep these in order, but this is just to show you. Starts with the sun, the moon, and it shows the symbology, the actual symbols like Mercury, and it talks about what the planet itself, it rules like Gemini and Virgo. It's exalted in Virgo, debilitated in Pisces, and it's for intellect, communication, and playfulness. So these are seriously like flashcards. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. These are phenomenal. There's no pictures on there other than the symbol stuff that you find on your birth charts. I mean, I could sell these for you, Julia. I'm telling you, I love these cards so much. I can't even tell you.
I forgot to show one other deck that I've been working with. It's the Unified Esoteric Tarot. And it's a little similar. It just has the symbology, it has the element, it has the alchemical reference to it. It has the keyword for upright, for reverse. This one's Leo for strength. It shows the signs or the planets of the fire element, Mars, Jupiter, and the Sun. Very simple, and that's what I like when you're learning. And this also, this deck is broken up into the court cards for the Tree of Life, the minor arcana for the decans, and then these cards here to represent the signs. So there's 3 different layers. So that's what I was mentioning earlier. I had these other decks that bring in astrology and tarot, and you can read with these. I haven't read with these yet, but, because the system is different. So I want to get used to them, but you can still do a layout with this from what I was told.
Now, what's that deck, honey? What's the name of that deck?
This is the Unified Esoteric Tarot, and it's by the creator. His name is Attila Blaga, and he's based in, I think, Romania. And he created this system. It took him like 20 years. It's his own way of bringing in the signs, the Tree of Life, and the planets into the tarot and astrology. It's this is a deck that moved me to start focusing more on the astrology.
Now, have you had that on your channel? And have you done a walkthrough of that on your channel?
Yeah, I have.
Okay. All right. Perfect.
It's like Unified Esoteric Tarot Review, something like that.
Okay. So you guys check that out as well.
It's still available, but it's a limited edition of 780. So I think he has like, I think 34 left. And he has different editions of that deck. Unified Esoteric Tarot.
Excellent. She says, I'm tempted to get the deck. We're all enablers.
I'm surprised you haven't gotten the deck yet, Julianne. I showed her the Tarot of the Holy Light, and then she told me that she had just ordered it. And then as soon as it came, we started studying the deck together. So,
yeah. So you guys are also doing that series. What is the name of it? The Light?
Tarot of the Holy Light. Here, I'll show an example of a card. Okay, this is the Hierophant. See, there's a lot going on in here.
Wow.
And the imagery is just, when I first saw this deck, I tell people it's very supernatural. It has just, I don't know, it has so much going on. This is the Wheel of Life.
That is really cool. You guys are doing that series. Do you have certain days that you're doing the series? And is it only on your channel, Julianne, or is it on both of your channels? Or
the first one we did was I think it was Cups or Swords, and I hosted it. And then the other 2, Julianne Victoria did. And the last one that we'll be doing in the spring will be for Wands. And then I'm going to be hosting that. So we've been going back and forth to host it. And there's a chapter and a half, I guess I should say, for each of the suits. So we do our homework, we read the chapter, and if there's time, we talk a little bit beforehand before going live, answering any questions that we may have, exchanging thoughts, and then we share our insights, how people feel about the deck, or how we feel about the deck, and anyone else who has the deck, how they feel about certain aspects of the card.
Maria just put in that esoteric tarot of the one that she showed. The astrology 18 left.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah, I'll have to definitely check that out. Although if I buy anything else, my hubby's going to probably beat me. Not literally, but.
Well, if you buy it, you have to make a promise that we work together on it.
Yeah.
Is
it expensive?
No, he has 2 versions. The one that I have here, I got without the box. And it was, I think it's about, I got 2 for the price of 1. So there were 90. So it came to about 45 each, but you could buy them individually. And I think individually they could be maybe 60 to 65 with just the carrying case and the deck itself. But you could pay a little bit more and you get the box. But I didn't need the box because I was going to be working with it so much. So I just got the case. And there's no guidebook, by the way. There's no guidebook. There's just a little insert for this.
Yeah, I'm showing $78. Okay. And they're telling Maria to knock it off. Stop.
Lady Night, I think that's if she gets it with the box, unless he ran out of, just the one, because I know it was a lot less.
I really can't do that one because I really want the real sky. I want that one, and I want the workbook.
Which one? Which one are you talking about?
The Real Sky Astrology by
yes.
I want that one. But I figure I'm going to have to wait a little bit and watch Amber see how she progresses with it.
Yeah.
Yes, you are an enabler. You have enabled so much, it's ridiculous. I mean, seriously. But I'm not. My husband might be, but I'm not.
Just take it easy. Remember what you said. You publicly said that you're only going to get decks that you are going to work with.
Exactly. See, this kind of stuff, this is the stuff I'm trying to learn, though, with astrology, and Kabbalah, and stuff like that. So those are the kind of things that's where my money's going right now, with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but here's the thing. They are complex topics. The last thing you need to do is keep buying more decks. Get that you want to work with and just stick with it.
Oh, I do. But I'm the kind of person, I can't just learn one thing at one time. That's too boring. I can do several things at a time. Okay. And I'm actually a pretty fast learner. So,
okay. Yeah. Okay.
But if I do one thing, it's too boring for me. Because I see connections. I feel like if I'm learning this, it's because it's directly part of the puzzle that I'm supposed to be doing. And yeah, I know I'm crazy, but I love it.
Like simplify it. Just simplify it. Just get those 2 decks that give you everything that you need and you work with it.
Yeah. Well, the Real Sky is a different astrology system. So that's why I want that one as well.
Yeah.
And it comes with a workbook. And I love it when they come with workbook.
Those are tempting. They inspire you.
I already told my husband that's the one I want next. I keep on doing little subliminal messages, so he'll probably just order it for me.
In the mail, all of a sudden, it's like, what is this? Astrology deck. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, thank you. How did that happen? But I think too, once you learn, you'll find that center point and where you're going to focus on. For me, no transits, no aspects. When it starts getting mathematical and all that, I got to stop, because then I'm going to stop learning the basics, and then I'm going to move into that aspect of astrology. And then next thing, I'm not doing tarot anymore. I'm becoming an astrologer.
Yeah.
I want to blend both.
I hear what you're saying there. Hey, my pick a card reading only said I shouldn't spend money. It didn't say I can't tempt on others. Shame on you.
Yes.
I followed you before this pandemic, but first time catch you live. Oh, thank you. Love your channel. You're subscribed from India. Thank you. Well, I think we are done with the questions. It's close to an hour and a half, so we did really, really well. I'd like to thank you for being here with me today. That was wonderful.
Thank you.
It's nice getting to know you a little bit better.
Yes.
And thank you, everyone who joined us. And we're sending you love and light. Is there anything you'd like to say before I close it out?
Oh, wow. I do Mystic Moon Mondays twice a month. I just did one this past Monday. And I there's no set dates. I just kind of work with the dates when I feel it's right. Mystic Moon Mondays, I talk about moon energy, the moon phases, and the signs that they're in, and how moon energy affects us. I feel more so than our solar, our solar sign, because the moon goes through all the different phases. We're now waxing full moon in Leo. It affects us every 2.5 days, because it changes signs, it changes its phase. And I talk a little bit about those influences, and I also talk about the relationship of the tarot cards that are affiliated with that particular moon sign, also in relation to the current sun sign. And I try to bring those relationships together, and how to work with those energies, if they're conflicting or if they're complementary, how to work with those shifts. Because moon energy, I feel, is really important, and I think it should be understood well to figure out why some days you're feeling a certain day, why you do some things on certain phases of the moon because of the sign that's in. I feel there's that connection. So I do that twice a month, Mystic Moon Mondays. I think the next one will probably be in about 2 weeks. And it's fun. I leave it open for people to chat. So I'm on the
I
West
think
Coast.
that is great, because I agree with you. I think the moon really, affects us. I have talked with many people that work in the medical field, and they always will say, oh yeah, it must be a full moon.
Mm-hmm.
It's a real thing.
Yeah.
If it affects the tides,
Yeah.
and the earth is made of 70% water, and we're 60% liquid,
Yeah.
of course it's going to have some sort of pull on us. So,
and as women, we feel it more because of our cycles and whatnot, which, it's a blessing in a sense, because we're more attuned to what's going on. We feel things more. And there are men as well who they just happen to have a heightened sense, and they feel affected by the moon,
Yeah.
So it has no gender preference. It works both ways.
Yeah. I mean, we've all got blood in our body. So.
Yes. We got water. We have all the, sources, all those 4 elements.
Exactly.
They're all in us. So.
Well, thank you so much, Aimee. I appreciate this. This was wonderful. And thank you, everyone, for coming and hanging out with us for a while. And we're sending love and light.
Bye, everyone. Thank you again.
Bye-bye, guys.